Come for the bread, stay for the politics. I'm Ben Walsh, and this is Let Them Eat Bread. Today on Let Them Eat Bread, as I mentioned on Facebook, I was craving some focaccia. So you know what? We're going to make some focaccia. And we're going to do it a little differently than last time. I believe last time we made it really thick in like a 13 by 9 by 2. So this time I have a great big old tray here that we are going to spread this out nice and thin. So hopefully we have a nice thin focaccia for our week. We're going to do things a little differently too. I have so many stories I want to talk about this week, so we are going to actually bake through the episode. So you will get a full hour and 15 minutes of politics for today. It's going to be broken up a little bit. Once it's on YouTube, you won't even know the difference. And then once it's done, you'll get to see what it looks like right here on the show. All right. That said, let's get started.
All right, first up, we're going to put in 5½ cups of all-purpose flour into our bowl here. Next up is ½ a cup of whole wheat flour. I'm using hard wheat flour this week. Next up, we have our instant yeast. You're going to need 3 teaspoons of that. Next up is our garlic powder. After that, we are putting in the rest of our herbs. There's some basil and some thyme. Next up, we are adding our salt. We're just adding it's about as much salt as we want. I put in about a tablespoon, but it's really up to you. As usual, there'll be more salt later. Next up, we're just going to give this a quick mix just to make sure everything's getting combined. Next up, our olive oil. Need 2 tablespoons of that. And then we're going to add our first cup of water to the mix. Okay, only add a cup at first. Then you're going to want to give it a quick stir. And once you've done that and you get a bit combined, just keep adding water on and off until you get the consistency that you want. It's going to be a complete dough, but a little sticky. Honestly, I'm just kind of going in with my hands and pouring in little bits of water as I see fit. I actually added a little bit too much water to mine, so I had to add flour later, but it's really up to you, and it still came out really wonderful. So we are flouring our work surface heavily because it's a very sticky dough. And then we are just going to turn this out onto the work surface and just knead as usual. So it's going to be difficult at first, but we're only kneading for about 5 or 6 minutes, okay? So just be careful with your dough. Add flour to your hands as needed. I only had to do this one time. And then just keep kneading. It will still be sticky at the end. Don't worry about that. But it will get less sticky, and you'll feel that it's less sticky and you can actually work with it, like you can see here. Next, we're going to, as usual, put it into a ball. It will stick to your hand, so you got to work fast. Give it a poke. We're going to do the poke test, and ta-da, it is done. I agree. And then we are going to olive oil a bowl. I put too much olive oil in, but just, the usual, about a teaspoon. Rub it around in the inside of your bowl. And once you do that, put some on your hands. Get your dough off of your board. Plop it in. All right, Ben, that's quite enough. There we go. All right, so plop it in there, give it a quick toss, and then we are going to cover it with plastic wrap and a tea towel, and we're going to let it sit for about 30 minutes for its initial rise. All right, live Ben, it's back to you.
All right, so as you can see, we've kneaded our bread. Our bread is ready. It's in its first rise. Remember, there's going to be 2 rises here, but we have about a 30-minute break, so I'm going to do some cleanup, and then I'll come back and talk to our first couple of stories, all right? I will be right back.
And we are going to see that our bread has risen. Big dramatic reveal here. And take your time there, Ben. All right, so now we are going to carefully put our dough onto our tray that is covered in parchment that is buttered above and below. And then we're just going to slowly and carefully, I've sped up the camera footage here, just push this out into a rectangular shape. It doesn't really have to be perfect because it will grow a tiny bit, but do try and get it to touch the corners as much as possible. That will give you that nice square look of focaccia that we all are used to. All right, next up, we are covering this in plastic wrap. Additionally, if your piece of plastic wrap from earlier still fits, feel free to use it, but mine did not, so I'm putting a new piece here. And then, as usual, we are going to cover this in a tea towel before we hand it back off for 15 minutes to live Ben. All right, we are back, and it hasn't really grown any, but it has become a little more airy. So we're going to start our process. I'm adding some black pepper here, just going around as much as I like. Next up, we're going to throw on some more salt. This is as much or as little as you want, guys. There's no real measurement here, just enough to make it look pretty. Do it with your hands. Do it the whatever method you like to get the salt on there. Next up, we are putting on some thyme, I believe. Yes, we have our 2 tablespoons of thyme, and you want to pretty much get this totally loaded up. This is going to be the majority of our herbage on top of the focaccia here. Next up, I wanted some parsley, so I'm throwing some parsley on there as well. It doesn't add a ton of flavor, but it'll still be nice. Next up, we have the most important part, in my opinion, the mozzarella. So just, this is shredded or chopped into little pieces, whatever you want. Just make sure it's as evenly spread out as possible. It'll get that nice ooey gooey color that you see on focaccia once it's cooked. Last and certainly not least, we're going to add our olive oil. Just, drizzle it on as much or as little as you like, just being careful not to put too much on, not to have it pool. I'm just trying to get little crosshatch patterns on my focaccia. It will absorb into the bread. Next up, we are rotating it, and we are pressing our fingers in to make these little dimples. We're going to do it all up and down the bread. Make sure that your bread is totally dimpled up the way, every way you can possibly think of before it goes in the oven. Next up, we're putting it in a 425-degree oven for 25 minutes.
All right, guys, we have our focaccia. It is out of the oven, and I must say, it is absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful focaccia. I can't wait to eat this. Oh, this is going to be so good. All right, guys, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care now.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, throw a like on it, share with your friends, and subscribe for more of our content. You can also find all of our videos and clips on youtube.com. Just search Let Them Eat Bread and you'll find all of our content. All right, guys, see you next time. Bye for now.